It is a really crazy state of affairs when two of your most prominent Hollyoaks characters, even they, are fearing the axe. It's crazy to me to think that, two characters who are pretty much the, pillar family that a lot of people were kept. It's crazy for me to imagine that even they're worried about getting the axe. Now, I'll go through who they are, and then we'll get into why. So I'll just briefly read this thing, and I'll go into a big spiel. Hollyoaks legends Jessica Fox and Ashley Taylor-Dawson have sparked fear that they could be axed from the soap. The pair spoke out after a mass culling their co-stars and admitted they are crossing their fingers and toes that they also won't get the boot. So yeah, this is Darren and Nancy. Two characters who I would argue have been a absolute, not stroke of genius, because they've been consistently good for a long time now, but they have genuinely been probably the main family and have had the biggest storylines and performances of the last couple of years in Hollyoaks. They have been the truly consistent yet constantly quality piece that they can always turn to. And honestly, they were my top family that you used to build around, because Darren and Nancy is a base, and then you throw in the rest from there. So to think that they are even worried about getting axed is absolutely ridiculous when they think about this. Because, hey, what happened? Well, last year, I believe it's last year at least, Hollyoaks was doing quite well, 5 episodes a week. They did their stunt week. They did the When Worlds Collide. We had the returns of Freddie Roscoe. You had the Felix Warren Mercedes crash. You had the return of Cleo. You had so many characters who were brought back. And it was this really big celebration. And everything we heard from Channel 4, they went, oh, yeah. Doing great. Yeah, another stunt week soon, right? Yeah. And then went, yeah, we're actually cutting an hour of your screen time, and maybe an hour. They went from 5 episodes a week to 3, and they went from 30 minutes to 20. So you now get 1 hour a week, and you get 3 episodes, and you get about half the cast that you were rocking before. They axed around 30 members of the cast and 100 members of staff. It was a really brutal hit to Hollyoaks. It was a really brutal shot to the show that had genuinely been trying to rebuild after a pretty torrid time. So within that rebuilding phase, you needed to establish the new generation. You need to figure out who was going to lead your show forward. And in my eyes, Darren and Nancy were the pillar. They were a consistent piece where you can have them constantly get storylines but fundamentally, they're such a good baseline to enjoy and to indulge. And, you still have Jack Osborne, you have Frankie, you had JJ after the time jump for a little bit, all of whom are really important figures that you build the show around. And out of all people, I generally viewed them as untouchable. They have been on a really big wave of momentum. And this has really kind of proven that they are important and imperative to this current brand of the show. Now where the wild bit goes, and where the crazy bit comes to me, is you've just had so much big axing, so many characters being made to leave, so many institutions, Tom, Cindy, these characters who probably in any other world do stick around and stay on the show. If even they're being axed, you suddenly start to get a bit worried. But even then I understand that as Hollyoaks, you want to kind of admit that, yes, not everything's set in stone, everyone's at risk. But you literally brought all these people through the time jump. So why are you not saying, no, you guys are the future. This is what we want to do. We're building the show around you. Why are you not doing that? Why are you not genuinely saying, guys, don't worry about your jobs. Everything's going to be fine. Unless Channel 4 is kind of putting you under the hammer again and wanting to break the the parts away from the show again. Bloody hell. It's bizarre to me. And obviously, this is all speculation, of course. This is all speculation, so don't take any of this 100% seriously. And it's also on the Sun, so, you know, the Sun, yes, it does get the like, rumours and the announcement done well, but also they do like to stir the pot with these sorts of things. But it's, like, this is what you do. You're investing in the future, and therefore you say, look, guys, we believe in the future with you at the helm, so as long as we have the right say in this, you are going to have jobs. And that creates a much safer work environment for you, because you're not constantly looking over your shoulder. I mean, Ashley Taylor Dawson and, you know, Jessica Fox? Jessica Fox, who have pretty much made their career off of being in Hollyoaks. Nancy's been in for 20 years. Ashley Taylor Dawson's been in for 26 years. Like, it's wild to me that they're scared. Like, I get that actors are always a bit worried, and yeah, sure, they're probably a lot of friends with all the previous cast who did get axed. They're probably harboring some, you know, if they're going to axe them, like, what else could go wrong? But, like, just what are they doing? What is Hannah Cheers doing in charge to sow this much discontent and this much for your main high-profile actors to be skeptical of the future? It's a really bad precedent. Now, as I've said, we don't know if this is Hollyoaks doing it, or no. We don't know if this is the writers and the producers and all the people working behind the scenes, or is it Channel 4? Is it them saying, the writers don't do a good job of making me feel safe? Or is it the Channel 4, which has pretty much been in peril consistently for a long time? And this is a general thing, and I'll probably make a video to this effect of what soap I think will die first. But I do think, out of all the soaps, like, out of all the big, like, 4, which are EastEnders, Corrie, Emmerdale, Hollyoaks. Hollyoaks is next to go. Hollyoaks is going to get axed at some point in the near future. It's why I try to be a lot more positive in my coverage of it, because I know that each, like, as we edge closer and closer, as we get further away from this next milestone, there's a high chance that Channel 4 just decides it's over. Once again, speculation, just make that fully clear. That's all me reading into things. I don't know any insider information. But judging from how Channel 4 has treated Hollyoaks in the last couple of years, it feels like it's already on borrowed time. But generally, I think Hollyoaks goes first. And, you know, this next milestone is a blessing and a curse, because ultimately they are celebrating the next anniversary. But the main issue is the 30th anniversary is this year. And, you know, a lot of shows, they don't really, you know, some shows at this point don't really ham it up. Coronation Street doesn't do like, oh, here's the 65 years of Corrie. They don't care. But 60, 70, you know, we're cooking with gas. We are cooking with gas. So moving beyond this big, polarizing anniversary milestone, I do understand why everybody's a little bit worried about this sort of thing. So let's read more of the article. Jessica's played Nancy Hayton in Hollyoaks for 20 years, and Ashley has played Darren Osborne for 26. But even they are both concerned about their future on the E4 soap. This year, Hollyoaks celebrates its 30th anniversary, and bosses have said this milestone will be marked on the show. It is not yet known if this will include. I hope YouTube doesn't decide to. Oh yeah. I hope YouTube doesn't decide to do that. Ban me for that. Yeah, Christ, smart move me. Anyway, I'll just. Boss said it's not yet known if it will mark a dramatic stunt that could result in more character deaths. Jessica told the Daily Star, "If the past year has taught us anything, it's that no one is guaranteed to stay. You just have to cross your fingers and toes that you will." Ashley added, "Anyone can go. That's the industry we're in. You never take anything for granted. If it's your time, it's your time. You just have to deal with it." Hollyoaks fans were left fearful for the show last year when the Sun revealed a huge number of characters being killed off. The soap's schedule was also cut from 5 to 3 episodes a week, making it the industry's biggest bloodbath. In September, an epic deadly motorbike crash and car explosion stunt saw the show fast forward an entire year and lose 20 stars. And obviously this goes through all of the people who left. I'd not actually seen this interview from Cindy's actress. She said, "I was learning all week of the people who were going, and I remember crying at one of them. And I had this gut feeling it would be me too. But another part of me was thinking, I've just signed a year-long contract. Surely this won't be me. Everyone was telling me I'd be fine as I'm an original character. In the meeting, they read from a script and a tear fell from my eye because I could feel it in the room. They got to the end and said, and with that, we will be losing Cindy from the show. I just kept saying I don't understand. I was very distraught. I didn't take it well. I'm probably the most dramatic person they told. Yeah, I just kept telling them I'm an original character. I was clutching at anything telling them, but I was the first person to give birth on the show. I could see the distress I was causing them because they were upset that I was so upset." Right, that's a harrowing tale. I didn't read that. I've not seen that. That's awful. And it feels like an absence of care. It feels like a breach of care. It's kind of crazy, honestly. Yeah, that's heartbreaking. That really is. And like, Cindy deserved to be kept. She always could have done more. It just, they never did. Yeah, Christ, that interview's messed me up. My God, Cindy was so mistreated. So yeah, all in all, it is a bad sign that so many of these characters aren't feeling comfortable in their position, because at the end of the day, a lot of people who work on soaps, a lot of them, there's not many that actually go off to do bigger and better things. At the end of the day, it's the shit fact about the industry. The industry is made to keep you a soap actor for as long as you humanly can. And even if you've been associated with a soap, your stock drops. It's like Danny Dyer, where it rebuilt his career, and now he's come like on record and started just saying that it's cheeks because he left. It's like, just come on. Like, soaps are, it's a good way to make a living. It's a fast-paced, hectic environment, long hours, not much downtime, but ultimately it's a paying job. You get tons of TV and film experience, and if you are a great, you will stay for years. At the end of the day, it's a real task to stay fresh and new on a soap. And it's still crazy to see someone like Tony Hutchinson, who's been there since the start and is still there and is still being given things to do, even if 30 years have passed since he initially started. It's absolutely crazy. And it's an awful sign to suggest that now even the most tenured characters feel that they're at risk. It's a weird thing with soaps, where typically in soaps you go on, from everything I picked up, you typically go on like a year-long contract, simply because, you know, a year on a soap is a very long time. And you typically re-sign at the end of the year and you go, yes, I'm coming back. Or, yeah, no, we don't think the character's worth keeping. You know, you've done a good stint, but ultimately we don't want to keep you beyond this. Like, it's a weird little thing. It would always be interesting to see what these sort of contracts are like. Because, you know, it's like with Sarah Jane Dunn, where she started doing an OnlyFans. And it was, you know, at the time it was fairly safe for work. Well, it's fairly safe for work. It was still like lingerie and lewds. Obviously, you know, since then it's gone a bit more risky. Gotten a bit more risque, which, you know, what she wants to do. All the power to it. You know, empowering. But despite Hollyoaks in the past doing pretty sexy calendars, like by choice, intentionally selling, like, hey, look at all our fit actresses in character selling these nude calendars. Like, but the second Sarah Jane Dunn starts doing an OnlyFans, suddenly she is fired and is, you know, completely taken away. It's kind of crazy, honestly. And it's just, you know, it's an impossible scenario. But, like, I don't know. It's just, the soap landscape is a pretty harsh beast at the best of times. And to remain steadfast on the big point, though, it is kind of upsetting to see even that we as an audience feel like they'd be the most secure, the most in place actors who should have a job for life. Ultimately, there's only really a few that probably do. And that, your name's Mercedes, your name's Sienna, your name's Steve, and I'd still put Darren, and obviously Tony, I'd still put Darren and Nancy on that list, but if they're not even feeling secure, what's that say about the direction of the show? What's that say about the backing of Channel 4? What's that to say about the future? A bit alarming, really. Yeah, tell me what you think. I've been Ash from Watching Walford. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.